morning, everybody. Hello, testing, testing, testing.
Switch on.
We have the juice. Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
As you can see, we had a musician. He got snowed in up in Port Angeles last night. We have Reverend Joanna Gabriel with us.
We'll sing with you. I don't sing very well either.
Our board member of the week is Debbie Lee. And we have Nora for chaplain. And Nora and Mary Ellen are our hospitality hostesses. And we are all part of the Spick and Span Angels. Our technology director, Mark Swink. Sitting on top. And I'm Ron Savage. I'm the platform speaker today. Okay, that's it for music. Okay, let's see. If you are new today at Unity of Bremerton, and I don't see anybody new, we welcome you in the spirit of love, and we want you to know that no matter where you are on your journey of faith, you're always welcome here. We know that the world is a better place, and we are all willing to share our hearts. We give you a heart as a symbol of the steadfast spirit that lives within each of us, and we ask you to carry this symbol as a member of this Red Heart Fellowship. Let it be a reminder that the love of God is always with you, and to share your heart wherever you go. The Red Heart, as a symbol of fellowship in the world, can spread love one heart at a time, and we're starting that movement here. We're going to do the Unity Happens. You look in your handy-dandy schedule for today. You will note we have a Course in Miracles on Thursday at 7. It's for an hour. On the 24th at 10 a.m. That's today. No, that's next week. Okay. We have the 12 Powers of Love. And then at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, we got Mercedes Nichols. She's coming, Nicole. And she's going to do gospel and jazz and blues. It should be fun. And then on March 3rd, we have Reverend Jim Dunn. And Sally and Jamie are going to support him in music. So that's our schedule coming up. And we have our board member of the week has some stuff.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I've missed you. We've been gone for a long time. We've had a lot of activities going on and then the snow, so it's good to see everybody. We ask that you please check your cell phones and make sure they're either off or on vibrate. The sound really carries in this room. I want to remind everybody that might be new here that the restroom for the ladies is right through this door on my right. And there are more restrooms upstairs and the men's room right through these double doors. We also want to remind you that we are live streaming our service. We ask that you please keep your conversation down so that it is not picked up. Those pickups happen very easily with that microphone right there. We also want to remind everyone that prayer request forms are available in the back of your seats. And you're welcome to put them in the prayer box, which is on the back table. Unity of North Kitsap has a weekly meditation. The next one is on Thursday, February 21st at 7 p.m. It will be entitled Loving Meditation. Please join Linda Mooring for an hour devoted to meditation and affirmation on loving ourselves. Everyone is welcome. Meditations are held every Thursday in the Fellowship Hall at Faith Episcopal in Postville. Next Sunday, Ron touched on this lately, February 24th, Mercedes Nicole will be our guest musician. She and her trio will be performing a gospel, jazz, and blues concert at 1 p.m. following the service. The suggested love offering is $16, but no one will be turned away. Mercedes is raising funds to go to Unity of Paris in 2020. So everyone's welcome, and we encourage you to come support Mercedes. In our new location, we have many tasks that must happen every day, and we need more help to make things happen. There are sign-up sheets on the table. Please sign up for a specific task, or just please plan on being here by 9:15 on Sundays so you can help us get everything ready and in place to start our service at 10 a.m. Or please plan on staying after church to help disassemble the room and clean up. Being a member means putting in your time and talent as well as your treasure. Let's make this new beginning a time for everyone to be more involved. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please see a board member. Thank you.
This is going really fast.
Gives Joanne more time.
There you go.
Yes. I like that. Yeah, there you go. We can use more of Joanne all the time.
Okay. I'm lighting the Christ candle. This candle represents the divine light within each of us. Our invocation. I did.
Get the door open, I think.
Can't win.
Oh, yes, oh, yes. The divine flame. Just learn like Charlie.
Don't need to go home.
All right.
Still unpacking. There we go.
You can hold it.
There. Wait.
All right.
There we go.
This little light of
Almost too many moving parts on that one. Okay, our invocation. We are a welcoming community supporting our mutual quest for spiritual truth. There is one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life. God the good omnipotence. Thank you. Now it's time for hugs and handshakes. Do it carefully. Don't break any people.
no, something else. I got it.
Hello, how are you? Good to see you. Nice to meet you. Looks like you did. You stayed warm.
I'm working Wednesday. Oh, I didn't, no, I'll talk to you after. Okay.
Good morning, Debbie.
Hey. Sorry.
How are you?
Hey, you. Yeah, I did. I made it to work.
I just sat down and didn't want to get shoes. I like your sweater, it's pretty.
How you doing? Good, me too.
Good sweater day.
See, he's got a kid of that color. No, I haven't seen it. You got what? What color? Oh, I didn't know that. Musicians get to like this stuff. You know, this technology. He's against those.
Feels funny. Not to. Let there be sound. Okay. Let there be sound.
The sound and light.
Feels funny to walk up there and not have music to walk up to. Usually, finish our hugging with and the song. Today's daily word is believe. I believe. The Gospels poignantly communicate a father's pain and frustration when Jesus reminded him that all things are possible for one who believes. The father's son suffered from a serious illness that no one, not even Jesus' disciples, had been able to cure. I believe. Help my unbelief, the father cried. His son was healed. My journey of faith may not always be straight and smooth. I may at times reach the limit of my human ability to believe. In those moments, I surrender to the divine presence within me. Affirming I believe opens my mind and heart to the faith expressed in the life and ministry of Jesus. Through divine presence, the Christ in me, I believe and find the answers to my prayer. From Mark 9, verse 29. Immediately the father of the child cried out, I believe, help my unbelief. And today's daily word is, I believe. God bless us.
Miss Joanna.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So how are you? Anything been going on or anything?
A little scabbing
A
fever.
little snow?
Got all my closets cleaned out.
Made use of the time, huh? Well, it's great to be here. And we've been through a time where it wasn't clear whether we could get here or what we needed to do or what we couldn't do or how it was going to be. And we all handle these kinds of situations differently. And the opportunity we have getting together for the first time after all this is to remind ourselves and each other that we are all that is, no matter what's going on, no matter how much snow we get, no matter if we can light the Christ candle, whether we have music or we don't. It's still the truth of us, isn't it? No matter what. And so, in consciousness, the opportunity is to go there first. Go there first. The reminder that we are all that is, that all things are possible in this moment. And it minimizes then the freak out and the stress, and not only with the weather, but the world, our country. Every time I stand up here, I say, isn't it getting interesting? And then the next time I show up, it's like, isn't it getting interesting? And then the next time I show up, it's like, isn't it getting kind of interesting? But you see, the reminder is, you came for this. We all came for this. We came to bring who we are into this moment. Now, you may have a moment where you say, I don't know, I think they've got me mixed up with somebody else. I get it. But the truth is, we all came for this time. And we all have within us everything we need to deal with whatever the moment, whether it's plan B for the Christ candle. It's shining brightly, isn't it? And even if we couldn't find the candle, we couldn't have a match or whatever it was, the true light is where? It's in here. And it burns constantly, no matter what's going on, whether we're paying attention or not. The opportunity is to pay attention because it's very helpful. It adds to the power. It adds to the clarity. It adds to the strength. It gives us the answers that we need to move forward, no matter what's going on. And it's really good to remind ourselves and each other of this in these what appear to be pretty interesting times. Any questions or comments about that? Does anybody have anything they need to say after going through the last 10 days that you've been through? We take things for granted, like power,
Yes.
power,
Water.
water, streets, showers, food.
I'm grateful for the things that do work, like all the, the road crews out there and power crews restoring power, working
Oh,
on
yeah,
the weather.
absolutely.
And having that roof over our head when so many don't.
Yes, indeed. Cindy, you were gonna say something?
I'm just happy to get out of my garage.
And I understand that we're not done with the snow yet. They're saying that we may have some more this week, and I got, Mark made me smile. He said, yeah, but it's only gonna be 1 to 3 inches. And there was, not long ago, before the last 10 days, 1 to 3 inches would have freaked us out, right? And now it's like, oh, 1 to 3 inches is nothing.
That's how we do it in Michigan.
Yes.
Yeah.
My sister's been sending me pictures. It's like, oh, yeah.
Well, I hope you all saw the picture up at Alpental with the ski lift being snowed under. Did you see that?
Oh, no.
Yes, yes. The ski lift was snowed under. And it's like, when the ski lift is snowed under, that's a lot of snow. Yeah.
The giraffe with it up to his neck, he's done with it.
Well, yes, and so when I was thinking about what might talk about today, how many of you, well, you don't have to show your hands, that's okay. My question is, how many of us use that time where we were stuck, couldn't do anything else, to spend a little extra time going within? Spending that time, letting the invitation, because we were kind of forced into it, it wasn't just an invitation, but we were forced into it, to use the time to come apart a while, to go within, to spend that time or some part of that time, to move away from solitaire just a little bit, just for a little while, and come back into just this is an opportunity to just be with this moment. Because there's no, for me, I love that silence that there is when it's snowing. There's a silence in that is like none other. It's an invitation to be reminded of the great silence, the silence that allows us to connect with divine essence. Where we can let go of the moment of, am I going to get out of the garage? Am I going to be able to go to the store? Have I got enough milk and bread till whenever? The letting go of all that and know that in the midst of all of that, we're okay. We're always okay. And what an opportunity to practice that awareness. That we're always okay no matter what. And so I was thinking about, so what assists that look, that exercise, that invitation, what assists us going within? Because it's really nice to say it, going within. And did you spend time going within and all of that? It says it's really nice to say that. It feels good. But in actuality, in truth of it, what assists you in doing that? What supports you in making that connection with the divine? And I was praying about that and asking, what's a good tool for that? Especially in the midst of, whoa, what's going on? I can't get out. What are we going to do? Da-da-da-da-da. Will we have church on Sunday? No, we won't. Can I make it to the Bremerton? Yes, I can. No, I can't. Yes, I can. What are we going to do? Shall we do Skype? What shall we do? All that stuff. In the midst of all of that, how can we get to the place of connection with the divine? Because there's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of noise. And what I heard was, ask this question in the moment. Who is my authority? And at first I thought, well, okay. More, tell me more. And it was like, in each moment when we're freaking out about something, or we're stressed about something, or we're challenged about something, if we would stop in the midst of that and ask inside, who is my authority? It helps us to get back to center, because in that moment, my authority might be the snow, or the garage, or what I can't do, or the television, or whatever, my boss, my partner, my kids, the president, whatever. And it's an opportunity for us to come back to center and remind ourselves of who truly is my authority. Who is your authority, really?
It's a God within.
The God
What
within.
comes to me in these moments is peace, be still, and know that I
Peace,
am
be
God.
still, and know that I am God. The ultimate authority. Yes.
It's what I've come to call my own GPS, my own God presence system.
Perfect. Our inner GPS, God presence system. Who is my authority? My God presence system. My divine essence. My all that is. Whatever you name it. And in that moment, if we can go to that place and ask that question, it'd be nice if I could tattoo it on the inside of my eyelids. I think that would hurt really badly. but a way to find a way to remind myself, who is my authority? Who is my authority? In this moment of now, who is my authority? And then I'm asking myself, you see, to kind of refocus, to go, oh yeah, it's not my pocketbook. It's not my whatever this thing that's stressing me is. And as soon as we do that, as soon as we get back to center like that, it changes things, doesn't it? It's like you can encapsulate that which is bothering you or stressing you or causing you to be afraid or angry or whatever it is. It gets encapsulated because now in that moment you remember that you're so much more than this situation.
The fact that you're the author of the authority of it.
Well, exactly, and that the author that we are is part of the divine essence, the outpicturing of the divine. It's not just coming from our human thoughts or human brain. Heaven help us. In fact, that explains a lot about what's going on in our world, doesn't it? Is folks operating from a lack of awareness that we're all part of something much, much more. All-encompassing. I look at you, Joyce, and I'm reminded that what you reminded me, that this is the 1-year anniversary of Grandpa Don's passing. And I think of him sitting with us, amongst us. He'd probably be wearing one of his little vests that he would wear today to keep warm. And such a reminder with his humor and his asking us all to adopt him and all the things, the adoring, wonderful things that he used to say and do. He was such a reminder of how we're all so much more. So much more than the issues, the struggles, the problems. He had that in him. You could look at him, and in that twinkle in his eye, you could see that. And so, Grandpa Don, where you are, thank you. We still remember, we still have it. We're still led back to the truth of us, remembering that twinkle in your eye. And his smile. He did, he had the best smile. Thanks, Joyce. And those little hearts you found on your chair, that's a reminder of both that it was Valentine's Day, that we're a heart-centered church, and that we're remembering with love Grandpa Don. So I had said in my write-up for this, remembering May Rowland, who May Rowland was a Unity teacher. Have you heard of her? Do you know May Rowland? You know her. She was a classic, one of the classic Unity teachers, and she was the director of Silent Unity for a long time. Very long time. And there are stories, if you ever go back to the village, there are stories about how May Rowland turned away a tornado. Do you know that story? Oh, it's a good one. One time back, this is many years ago, you know that the village lives in Tornado Alley outside of Kansas City in Lee Summit, Missouri. And they were having a really bad storm, and it was noted that there was a funnel cloud that people could see in the distance, and it looked to be heading in their direction. And so May Rowland went up to the highest point on the property at Unity Village, and she put her arms up and said, "We are one in God, we are one, we are safe, it is peace, there is no tornado heading this way." She stood up there, and the report is that the funnel cloud just decided to go in a different direction and never came on the property of Unity Village. And it was always been a testament to the truth of us, that the power of who we truly are can turn away negativity, turn away uncertainty, turn away imbalance. That's a dramatic example of it. It's a legend. I wasn't there. I'm just reporting what they talk about at the village. But May Rowland believed that absolutely, with no doubt. And so it doesn't surprise me that if anyone was going to do that, it would be May Rowland. But the thing that she used to teach, and if you look at any of her writings, she's all about the importance and the necessity of coming apart a while, going within, into the silence, away from the distractions, away from whatever it is. And she talks about how Jesus would do that Jesus would go off by himself, and most famously went off in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. And it wasn't just that he was trying to get away from those crazies that he was talking to, and that were giving him such a rough time. He knew that by doing so, he was enlivening or adding to, building up, like putting more logs on the fire of that divine nature that he is, that we are. That he knew that to get away from the distractions helped him to be in more clear, more palpable, more awareness of a connection to the divine. And that was important, that was necessary. That for him to do what he did, to be who he was, he himself needed to be reminded within of that connection. It's like, okay, now remind me, why am I here? Why am I doing this? What is this about? Because, out there, sometimes it gets really hard to see it. In fact, out there's a lot of reasons to believe that it does not exist. And there's a lot of teaching out there that says that it isn't you, that you have to be something other than who you are in order to qualify, right? Isn't that pretty common? But on your spiritual journey, you have found that that's not true, that that's not accurate, that who you are is entirely about the truth of you. And if we have difficult circumstances or challenging circumstances or unpleasant circumstances or really hard circumstances, it's not about the circumstance, it's about who we are in relationship to it and how we experience it and how we use it. Remember, I've always said nothing exists to take us down. Everything exists to lift us up. The variable is how we're aware of that. Even the hard stuff, even the painful stuff. Questions or comments about that? Examples of that?
Amen.
You know, you may have moments when you have the TV on or the computer on or whatever, and you're hearing the news and everything, and you're going, wow, how did we get here? And where in the world are we going? You could be really discouraged. You could feel confused. You could feel threatened. But it's more important now than ever to keep reminding yourself of the truth of who you are, which is way more and way bigger than all of this. Remember, we've talked about in the past, there's more love on the planet than ever before. And what does love do? And think about this. I'm not making this up. Think about this in your own lives. What does love do? Love calls forth everything unlike itself to be healed, to make room for more love. And you know yourself, you've been in relationships, and you may have been with somebody you loved like crazy, and everything else comes into the space, and it makes you wonder about this relationship. When ultimately what is happening is the love that exists is calling forth everything else to create an opportunity for more love there. Now, many folks don't survive that. Relationships don't survive that. And that's okay, because what we're here for is, if it isn't this thing, it's the next thing. It's the next thing. The opportunity's always there. There's no judgment. The universe doesn't judge us and say, well, you screwed that up. No. If we don't get there within this, our whole lives are reflections of our relationship with love. That explains a lot, doesn't it? And if we can't get to clarity, or if we can't get to truth within this relationship, then if the highest good is it for to let go and move away, it isn't about, well, we were failures, we didn't do it. No, you loved. You loved. Thank you, God. You loved. And it may be at this point in this life, for whatever reason, the highest good is to move on. And that love lives in your heart forever. It may or may not be through the experience with that particular person. And there may be another person. Does that make you some kind of a floozy or something? No. No. We're all humans. I'll be right with you. We're all humans spiritual beings having a human experience, and we're learning how to bring that love through us into our experience. And if we haven't got that worked out in here inside of us, what is our reflection going to be? It's going to be challenging, isn't it? Yes, dear.
For myself personally, I have carried trauma that happened to me as a child, making me not feel worthy or lovable. So for my journey, it's finding myself worthy and lovable and giving myself the love and not expecting it to come from an outside source.
Absolutely. That is so important. Did you hear that? That in her experience from having trauma in her childhood, she's grown up not feeling loved and worthy, not loving, not feeling that she's worthy of love. And so her experience has been, and that's what happens, until we understand and heal that, what we create is more opportunities to feel unworthy and unloving or unloved. And so the experience becomes the evidence to prove the thing, and it keeps going, doesn't it? Until we can intercept or intercede or interrupt the pattern by realizing that that out there doesn't change until we accept the truth of us in here. That we are loving, we are worthy. I am loved, I am lovable, I am loved. And get that to the deepest fiber of our being. Because what happens when we don't do that? Our relationships are challenging. Yes, they are. You bet they are. And the thing is we go into relationships needy.
Yeah.
Because we haven't filled that hole in our own hearts. And we're the only ones who can fill it with our connection to divine love. So we look for it out there. And I want you, and you need to show up in my life, and you need to show up like this. And please don't do that. Right? None of you have been there, have you?
I saw it on TV once.
Did you see that? Yeah.
Yeah, I've coined for quite a while that all our ills, whether mental, physical, or emotional, are I lack love in a great sense.
I lack love.
love.
That's
All our
good.
ills-
You're good at that. You're good at those.
Yeah.
I lack love. Ill. All our ills. I lack
Nurturing,
love. I like that.
loving, caring, kindness, whatever it is that gets our pain, is our messenger. What is it I'm missing or lacking or nurturing within myself or in what's going on?
And we have such large, huge representations of that out in our world, don't we? And we wonder why we get annoyed and angry and frustrated with what we see out there. And part of, a big part of that, my dear friends, and this may be tough, but it's because it's mirroring back to us the places in us where we don't love ourselves, where we aren't empathetic with ourselves, where we are brutal with ourselves. We can look out there and point and say, well, I would never act like that. I would never do that to people at our border, or I would never do anything like that. And I believe that's the truth of it. So how can it exist in my world? It exists because we put borders on ourselves all the time. We lock ourselves in cages all the time. Do you get that? We are cruel to ourselves. We are brutal in our self-criticism, self-loathing, self-denial. We beat ourselves up bloody. That's how it occurs in our world. And that's why we speak from up here all the time, that's where the work is. It's in here. It's that self-acceptance. And so when you're looking for an opportunity or a way to come inside and be with divine, and to remember your divine nature, something that might help. You can try it, try anything that works, but the who is my authority in this moment can help you with that. It's like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm getting all freaked out about my neighbor. I'm making my neighbor my authority. Is my neighbor my authority? Well, no. So we realign ourselves in that moment. We refocus. It's like the camera or the binoculars have gotten out of focus, and you have to do the thing to refocus so you can see the image clearly again. It's like that. It's like refocusing the connection to the divine that we are, that we always are. We always are. We came in, we'll go out, we're always connected with the divine. The variable is that focus, that focusing. Does that make sense? Questions or comments?
Perception.
Perception. Questions or comments about that?
Where we focus, we give our energy to, we create more of. So we're either part of the solution or the problem.
We are 100% manifesting constantly. 100% manifesting constantly. We are complete and total manifestors 100% of the time. So if things aren't going well, where should we look? And I know that's not, I'm writing about these things. And you've heard me say this, and I think I'm going to title one of the chapters, Anything But That. Couldn't it be anything but that, please? Couldn't it be something else? Couldn't I just buy the right book? Couldn't I just give the right donation? Couldn't we, I'll give you a pint of blood, please? Couldn't it just be that? I mean, you could give donations and buy books and give blood, and great, it's wonderful, yay. But is that going to heal your heart? No. No. And it isn't about who you believe in and who you don't. Because our relationship with the divine is so integral to every breath that we take. It isn't about believing or not believing. It isn't about making a list and checking it twice. It's about our allowing the truth of us to come through each breath that we take. It's to allow that intimacy into me see with the divine. It's been such a young understanding of God, to think of God as a judgmental being. It's a young, it's not, we don't want to make anybody wrong or criticize anybody. It's just young. Because the divine God, universal truth, already knows who we are. We're an expression of that. So we don't have to prove anything to the divine. There's no left hand and right hand and the goats and the sheep and the... No. We're an expression of the divine. The variable is our allowance of that. And as we allow it, my friends, that goes a long way down the road to healing that sense of unworthiness. Because as we get that we truly are the divine in expression, and indeed, that's what Jesus said. That's what Jesus told us. That's why a lot of the religions don't talk about what Jesus said. It's more about the prophets or Paul or somebody else.
Amen.
Amen.
What Jesus said is, you are that which I am. And in fact, you are more. As we all get to understand it more, as we all accept it. The kingdom of God is within you, and there's no qualifier there. Doesn't matter what your religious affiliation is, doesn't matter your political views, it doesn't matter your credit rating, none of that. You are that because you are. Life gives you that qualifier. Questions or comments about that?
I was thinking, walking in the snow, that with that, my compression fracture that happened in the summer, the doctor told me it was never going to heal, and that if I didn't keep taking my medicines, that I was never going to get better and be strong enough, and I'd keep falling down, and it's like, nah. You know, finding some balance between listening to the doctor to take care of myself and knowing that I'm a child of God, and that I, you know, in believing that I'm healing, and what can I do? You know, and the phrase, ye of little faith, you know, that because can't work because of the snow and so no paycheck, balance and just knowing.
Exactly.
And believing.
Exactly, Nora. And in that instance, that's a good opportunity to ask within, who is my authority? And it may well be that what's the highest good for you is a combination of things, combination of the medicine and the exercise and the faith. But make sure the faith is there. The faith, when I say faith, I'm not talking about what I believe. It's about what I allow. Do you see the difference? That's a real powerful distinction, isn't it? When I say faith, I'm talking about that focusing in, allowing the truth of us, the truth of you to come forth into you, into your experience, into your compression fracture, into whatever, and go from there.
Yeah, Wayne put a long time ago in a book title, not that I loved, and it was, you'll believe it, you'll see it when you believe it. Otherwise, we're blocking it.
And so taking that belief deeper into the allowing, because we can believe anything, but it's that taking it inside into the heart to allow the light, the power, the love to come through us into our experience. That's the task. Anything else?
I was thinking, as a teacher, I work with little people, and they often get, freaked out at moments in their days. But we always can have a plan B and a plan C, and some of my friends are on the spectrums and stuff, so they have some issues with them. But we always can find the next thing to do. And just, I worked so hard on helping them to realize, and for me to stay focused, that we'll find a way to deal with it. Where are my scissors? Somebody's screaming, they can't find your scissors. Well, what are we going to do to solve this problem? Shall we clean your desk? You know, so there's always another thing that I can do to stay focused, that we can do to solve a problem, whether it's the, I can't find my scissors, or you're throwing yourself on the floor having a major, you know what, down there. But there's always a way to solve it. And sometimes it's not me solving it. Sometimes I've allowed myself to push the 0 button on the phone and call for another authority to come help. So I don't have to I have to take care. I don't have to solve. I don't have to fix. I just have to, yes, honey, you're doing fine. I love you just fine. Let me get some help here for you, you know? So we can, there's always a plan B, C, and D.
What an amazing thing you're reminding those children. What a wonderful thing you're teaching them as little ones to get that. Because there's a whole lot of folks walking around in the world that are just freaked out all the time because they don't have that internally. or they can't access it very easily. Because, my dear, do you think this was an accident this morning? There's always a plan B. It's a good talk title, too. Thank you for that. And thank you for who you are and what you bring to those little people. They're blessed to have you. Anyone else? So if not, let's take just a moment to breathe and allow. Practice breathing and allowing. If it feels comfortable, close your eyes. And uncross anything that's crossed so that the energy can flow freely through you. And breathe. Breathe. The first tool you were given when you came into this life to focus, to begin again, to express the breath of life. Breathing. And as we breathe, just scan a little bit through your body. How is it feeling this morning? Is it achy? Is it tired? Is it stiff? Is it feeling okay? Is it cold? Has it felt a little unsteady as you navigated ice and snow this week? Breathe and allow the light, the divine essence to come up through you, through your heart, through your solar plexus, through your toes, through your mind. Allow it to come up so that you can feel it. You can feel it pulsing through your arms and legs, through your fingers. Remember when we rub our hands together until we feel the energy flowing. Yeah, it's blood flow. Yeah, it's circulation. It's also energy. The energy of the divine swirling in you. Allow it. Allow it into the corners, into the joints. Into the organs, into the bones, into the tissues, into the skin. Into your senses. Remember that a time or two ago we used the image of the Ajax white tornado, remember that? Just let that, if that works for you, if that's comfortable for you, let that white tornado be moving through you inside, internally. Cleansing, purifying, balancing. Trusting, it knows what to do. It's operating from highest good. Breathing and allowing. And then if there is an issue or a circumstance, a problem, a challenge, something that's up for you right now, bring it into focus. Who or what is my authority in this? And if you want, you can send that white tornado right in there. Balancing, releasing, lifting, healing. And then we bring to mind and heart our world, our country. Who or what is my authority? You can send the white tornado all over it if you want. Balancing, healing, lifting. Because the good news is, no matter how uncertain or crazy it looks and feels, the truth is, we're all the divine in form. It's the focusing that needs to shift. Breathe and allow. And because we're all one, by our healing work here, we make a difference with the whole. And so as we breathe and allow ourselves to be balanced, to be rejuvenated, to be regenerated, to be healed, all life is lifted up. And if there's someone in this moment specifically who could use this reminder, who could use this love, feel free to say their names aloud now so we can hold them with you.
Yes.
For the opportunity to be reminded of the truth of who we are in each moment of now. We are grateful, and so it is. Amen.
As you're preparing your tithes and love offerings today, think about how blessed you are. And as you're writing your check or giving your gift, send out your blessings.
I am so grateful for all I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Madam Chaplain? You're missing your own thing.
You know, it's probably in there put somewhere.
Maybe. Everybody would help us bless this.
I
give
willingly, joyfully, and lovingly
knowing
that God is the constant source of my supply. I give with graciousness and receive with gratitude.
Thank you. Maybe. I would like to start, if you don't mind. My beautiful wife yesterday reminded me how lucky we were. We had gone out and I purchased some new lounge chairs, and one of them was destroyed. One of the old ones was destroyed, and one of the new ones, one of the old ones, was in fair shape. Well loved, but okay. Stuck it in the garage, and she put it in a Paul's Bow.
Oh, the buy-sell trade.
Say again?
Buy-sell traders.
No,
No.
no by Paul's Bow.
No by Paul's Bow, where you give it to someone who needs
okay.
it or wants it.
Oh, that's cool.
And when she posted it, she saw a call out saying, hey, we need sheets for the emergency shelter in Paul's Bow. Well, she had just cleaned out all the closets and she had found sheets
Wow.
and pillows and some, comforters. So called up a lady, and she came over, picked them up. She was grateful, of course. And then another lady called, and her husband and her came over and picked up the lounge chair.
Wow.
And they were going to take care of a young man who was going to have back surgery.
Oh,
And he needed a chair to be able to sit in.
Wow.
So those things that you don't need
Right.
or don't want, because I didn't want it in my garage, that's for sure. When you interact with your community, it's going to go to a good place.
Right.
So, and my wife reminded me, you don't have to just take it to the dump and get rid of it. You can give it to someone who can really use it and help someone else. So, yesterday we interacted with the community, and the community gained and we gained because we were able to help people. So that was my good. I got to learn something yesterday. We got someone else who'd like to share something?
I've got a strange thing that's been going on in my apartment. I've got a touch lamp, and I turn it off at night. And the last couple of nights, the only way you can turn this touch lamp on is to touch it. Well, it seems that it's turned on itself in the middle of the night or the middle of the mornings. And so it wakes me up. And I go in there and how can you get this lamp on? You have to touch it and touch it to turn it off. So I don't know why this lamp keeps coming on in the morning, if it's a spirit or if it's somebody that's in there. But it's happened to me 4 times in the past, so I don't know what it means. But I have to get up and go turn the lamp off. Manual. So that's what's been happening to me.
See if it happens, then you'll know.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I don't know what the meaning is.
Well, we had an opportunity with the snow to connect with our community too. We dug out some of the snow so we could get out of the garage. It snowed again. We shoveled some more. It snowed again. All right, like, third time, I'm done. We're tired. We're a little bit older now. It's not so easy.
Mm-hmm.
2 very enterprising young men posted, well, I guess the mother of 2 enterprising young men posted on Nextdoor that they were looking to make some extra money shoveling out driveways.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, yes. So we found these 2 young guys. They were great. They were so cute. But they got inundated, and they were asking very little for, compensation. Got inundated with requests, and they actually ended up being featured, I think it was on Kids of Sun. They got called to clear out a driveway area to allow emergency access to somebody who was having a medical emergency. And so they were recognized for that, and then continued, so we paid them to clear the driveway. That stayed, so yay. But we helped them, they're helping others, and they were learning some very wonderful lessons. We were so thankful for them. That's cool.
Amen.
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity of
rising to the challenge of not recognizing that I'm not supposed to be doing as much as what the doctor said. I bought me a little shovel and have done the shoveling of the sidewalk, and I get 5 feet, 3 feet, and oh man, I'm too old for this. Just a little bit further, 10 more minutes. Turned into a long ways, and I've noticed that a lot of the women in my apartment complex doing that, not in the snow, the older women that, just sort of, so I've let that take, kind of push me to just continue to do well and then go for a nice long walk, probably about 1.5 miles down my Fred Meyer from my house and be able to walk down there in the snow and, just continue with the physical challenges to improve my health and stay strong. So it's just been a real, I haven't got to work, which means no paycheck, and or a lot smaller paycheck with not being able to work with the schools being closed. But, it's the challenge of, okay, I have paid, it'll work out, and I've got to be physical.
Amen.
Good. I can't help but I have to share this because it's on a lighter note. So I'm lucky enough to work about a 1/2 mile from home. So Michigan girl, I had to throw on my boots and wear some mittens and a couple scarves, and I walked to work a couple days. And it was really fun and beautiful on the first day, and on the second day it wasn't. Because by then all the snow piles had piled up the sidewalks, and it was like doing stair stepper for 1/2 mile. But anyway, my big discovery and realization was it is true, because you hear the stories from our parents, right? I trudged to school uphill both ways. I did that. It's downhill and then up to the office and then back downhill and up home. So it is possible to go uphill both ways.
Okay. If everybody would stand and reach across the aisle.
There be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as Creator, and we all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace.